Control your mind before it controls you. Part 1. The Battle Inside. Every person in the world is fighting a battle. Some battles are visible. They happen on streets, in workplaces, and in relationships. But the most important battle is invisible. It happens inside your own mind. A battle between discipline and distraction. A battle between courage and fear. A battle between wisdom and emotion. Many people believe their greatest enemy is outside them. They blame people. They blame circumstances. They blame the world. But the ancient Stoics understood something different. The person who cannot control his own mind will always be controlled by something else. This is the story of Adrian. A young man with great dreams but an uncontrolled mind. Adrian wanted success more than anything. He wanted respect. He wanted wealth. He wanted to prove that he was capable of greatness. But there was one problem. He was always losing the battle within himself. When someone criticized him, anger took control. When he failed, he gave up. When things became difficult, he searched for comfort instead of growth. His biggest enemy was not the people around him. It was the voice inside his own head. One evening, after another failure, Adrian walked alone through the old streets outside his village. Rain fell from the dark sky. His thoughts became louder with every step. You are not good enough. You will never succeed. Why even try? The negative voice inside him became stronger. Then he noticed an old man sitting beside a small fire outside an ancient building. The man looked peaceful despite the storm. Adrian stopped and asked, "How can you sit there so calmly while everything around you is falling apart?" The old man looked at him and smiled. "Because I learned something many people never learn." "What is that?" Adrian asked. The old man pointed to Adrian's head. "The mind is like a kingdom. If you do not rule it, something else will." Adrian sat beside him. "What do you mean?" The old man picked up a piece of wood and placed it into the fire. "Fire is useful when controlled. But when it spreads without control, it destroys everything. Your thoughts are the same. Your mind can build your future. Or it can destroy it." Those words stayed with Adrian. The old man continued. "Most people try to control everything outside themselves. They want people to respect them. They want life to be easy. They want every situation to go their way. But they ignore the only thing they truly own: their own mind." Adrian asked. "How do I control my mind?" The old man answered. "By training it every day." The next morning, Adrian began his journey. His first lesson was awareness. The old man told him, "Before you control your thoughts, you must first notice them." So every morning, Adrian sat in silence. At first, it was difficult. His mind created endless distractions. Memories, worries, fears, desires. But he continued. Slowly, he learned something important. A thought is not always the truth. An emotion is not always a command. Just because his mind said something did not mean he had to obey. Weeks passed. The second lesson began. Discipline. The old man challenged Adrian to wake up before sunrise every day. At first, his mind gave excuses. "You deserve more sleep. Start tomorrow. It is too difficult." But Adrian learned to recognize these voices. He stopped negotiating with weakness. He stood up. He acted. Each morning, he won a small battle. And every small victory made his mind stronger. Months later, Adrian faced a bigger test. He was working on an important project when someone publicly criticized his efforts. Everyone looked at him. His anger immediately appeared. His old habit wanted to respond with insults. His pride wanted revenge. But he remembered his training. He paused. He breathed. He chose his response. Instead of reacting, he calmly said, "Thank you for sharing your opinion. I will consider what you said." The room became quiet. Later, the old man smiled. "Today, you won a battle that most people lose every day." Adrian asked. "Which battle?" The old man replied. "The battle against yourself." Years later, Adrian would understand the true meaning of those lessons. Life would continue bringing challenges. People would disappoint him. Problems would appear. But his mind was no longer a prison. It had become his greatest weapon. Because a trained mind can remain calm during chaos. A disciplined mind can continue during hardship. A wise mind can find opportunity inside difficulty. Remember, you cannot control every event. You cannot control every person. You cannot control every situation. But you can control your thoughts. You can control your actions. You can control your response. And when you master your mind, you become free. Because the greatest victory is not controlling the world. The greatest victory is controlling yourself. Control your mind before it controls you. I can continue with part 2, where Adrian faces betrayal, temptation, and the hardest test of his mental discipline. Control your mind before it controls you. Part 2, the storm that tested his discipline. Years had passed since Adrian first met the old man beside the fire. The young man who once allowed every emotion to control him had changed. He was not perfect. He still felt anger. He still experienced fear. He still faced moments of doubt. But there was one important difference. He no longer allowed those feelings to command his actions. Every morning before sunrise, Adrian followed the same routine. He sat in silence. He observed his thoughts. He trained his body. He studied wisdom. Before beginning his day, he reminded himself, "My mind is my responsibility." People around him began noticing the change. Adrian was calmer. He listened more. He spoke with purpose. He no longer needed to prove himself in every conversation. But life was preparing his greatest test. One afternoon, Adrian received news that shocked him. The business he had spent years building was failing. A major partner had abandoned the project. Money was disappearing. People who once supported him began walking away. Within a few days, everything he had worked for seemed to be collapsing. His friends told him, "You should fight back. You should blame them. You should show everyone they were wrong." The old Adrian would have followed that advice. He would have reacted with anger. He would have allowed disappointment to control him. But this time, he became quiet. He walked to the place where he first met the old teacher. The fire was no longer burning, but the lesson remained. He remembered the words. "The mind is a kingdom. If you do not rule it, something else will." Adrian closed his eyes. He felt the pain. He accepted the disappointment. But he refused to become a prisoner of it. The next morning, he gathered his team. Everyone expected a speech filled with frustration. Instead, Adrian said, "We cannot change what has already happened. But we can control what we do next." The team looked at him. "We will not waste our energy searching for someone to blame. We will use our energy to find a solution." Slowly, hope returned. They created a new plan. They worked harder. They learned from their mistakes. The failure that was supposed to destroy them became the lesson that improved them. Months later, Adrian discovered something important. Sometimes life takes away what you depend on so you can discover what you are made of. But another challenge arrived. A wealthy man offered Adrian a chance to regain everything quickly. There was only one condition. Adrian would have to compromise his values. He would have to lie to customers. He would have to ignore what was right for personal gain. The offer was tempting. For a moment, Adrian imagined the easy path. No struggle. No sacrifice. No uncertainty. Then he remembered his training. A person who cannot control desire becomes a servant to desire. Adrian refused. The wealthy man laughed. "You are choosing hardship over success?" Adrian calmly replied. "Success without character is another form of failure." That decision cost him an opportunity. But it protected something more valuable: his integrity. As the years continued, Adrian became known as a person of wisdom. People came to him with their problems. A young man once asked, "How did you become so mentally strong?" Adrian smiled. "I did not become strong in one day. I trained my mind through thousands of small choices. Every time I controlled my anger. Every time I chose discipline over comfort. Every time I continued when quitting felt easier. Those moments built me. The young man asked. What is the biggest enemy of the mind? Adrian answered. The belief that you have no control. Many people give their power away. They allow other people's opinions to control their happiness. They allow temporary emotions to control permanent decisions. They allow fear to control their future. But a disciplined person takes responsibility. Years later, Adrian returned to the old place where he met his teacher. The village had changed. The streets were different. The people were different. But the lesson remained. He sat quietly and watched the sunset. He thought about all the storms he had survived. The failures. The betrayals. The moments when everything seemed impossible. He realized something. The challenges did not make him weak. They revealed his strength. Every difficult moment had been a training session. Every disappointment had been a teacher. Every struggle had strengthened his mind. Adrian finally understood the greatest Stoic truth. You do not become powerful by controlling everything around you. You become powerful by controlling yourself. When your mind is disciplined, criticism cannot destroy you. When your mind is focused, distractions cannot defeat you. When your mind is calm, chaos cannot control you. The world will always bring storms. People will always have opinions. Problems will always appear. But the person who controls their mind has an inner fortress that cannot easily be broken. So train your thoughts. Guard your attention. Choose your responses. Master your emotions. Because your mind is the battlefield where your future is created. And remember, if you do not control your mind will control you. Control your mind before it controls you. I can continue with part 3, where Adrian faces his greatest personal loss and discovers the final level of mental mastery. Control your mind before it controls you. Part 3, the final battle of the mind. Many years had passed since Adrian first learned the power of controlling his mind. The young man who once walked through the rain feeling defeated had become someone people looked up to. But Adrian never believed he had reached the end of his journey. He knew something most people ignored. The mind is never completely conquered. It must be trained every day. Every morning, Adrian woke before sunrise. He sat in silence. He watched his thoughts. He reminded himself, I am responsible for the thoughts I allow to control me. He had learned how to handle failure. He had learned how to face criticism. He had learned how to remain calm during difficult situations. But life was preparing a challenge unlike anything he had faced before. A challenge that would test not his success, not his reputation, but his heart. One winter morning, Adrian received heartbreaking news. His closest friend and mentor, the old man who had first taught him about the power of the mind, had become very sick. Adrian immediately traveled to see him. When he arrived, the old man was sitting peacefully near the same place where they had once talked beside the fire. Time had changed him. His hair was white. His body was weaker. But his eyes still carried wisdom. Adrian sat beside him. I have learned so much from you, Adrian said. The old man smiled. No. I only showed you a door. You were the one who chose to walk through it. They sat quietly for a while. Then the old man spoke. Adrian, there's one final lesson you must understand. What is it? Adrian asked. The old man looked toward the trees moving in the wind. Everything outside you will eventually change. People will come and go. Success will rise and fall. Your body will become older. But your character is something you build every day. Protect it. Because a strong character creates a strong mind. Adrian listened carefully. Those words stayed with him. A few days later, the old teacher passed away peacefully. For the first time in many years, Adrian felt a deep emptiness. The person who had guided him was gone. He walked alone through the village. Memories returned. The first lesson. The first challenge. The first time he learned not to react with anger. He stopped beside the old place where the fire once burned. A thought entered his mind. How will I continue without him? Then he remembered the greatest lesson. The teacher was never meant to be his strength. The lessons were. The wisdom was now inside him. The next chapter of his life began. Adrian decided to share what he had learned with others. Young people came to him searching for direction. Many wanted quick success. Many wanted instant confidence. Many wanted an easy path. Adrian always told them the same thing. Your greatest enemy is not outside you. It is the uncontrolled mind within you. One young student named Daniel approached him. I want to become successful, Daniel said. Adrian asked. Can you control yourself when you are angry? Daniel became silent. Can you continue when nobody praises you? Again, silence. Can you stay disciplined when comfort calls your name? Daniel looked down. Adrian smiled. Then your first mission is not success. Your first mission is self-mastery. Daniel began training. Not with weapons. Not with physical battles. With discipline. He learned to wake up early. He learned to control his words. He learned to think before reacting. He learned that every decision was a vote for the person he wanted to become. Months later, Daniel faced a difficult moment. Someone insulted him publicly. Everyone expected him to respond with anger. But Daniel remembered Adrian's teachings. He paused. He controlled his emotions. He responded with respect. Later, Adrian asked him, Why did you choose peace? Daniel answered, Because I realized that losing control would give another person power over my mind. Adrian smiled. The lesson had continued. Years passed. Adrian became older. His life became quieter. One evening, he returned to the river where his journey had begun. He sat beside the water and watched the reflection of the sky. He remembered the person he used to be. A person controlled by fear. Controlled by anger. Controlled by the opinions of others. He smiled. That person had changed. Not because life became easier. Because he learned how to face life differently. He understood the ultimate truth. The mind is the greatest tool you possess. But every tool can be used for creation or destruction. An uncontrolled mind creates suffering. A disciplined mind creates freedom. So every day you have a choice. Will you let anger control you? Or will you control anger? Will you let fear control you? Or will you control fear? Will you let distractions control you? Or will you protect your focus? The battle is always happening. The question is, who is winning? Remember, your thoughts become your actions. Your actions become your habits. Your habits become your character. And your character becomes your destiny. Train your mind. Protect your peace. Master yourself. Because the person who controls their mind cannot easily be defeated. The world may challenge you. People may doubt you. Life may test you. But if you have mastered yourself, you carry a strength that no one can take away. That is the final lesson. That is true freedom. Control your mind before it controls you. Control your mind before it controls you. Part 4. The Master of His Own Mind. Years had passed since Adrian began his journey of self-mastery. The young man who once walked through the rain feeling defeated had become a symbol of discipline, patience, and wisdom. But Adrian never called himself a master. He knew a powerful truth. The moment you believe you have nothing left to learn is the moment you stop growing. Every morning, Adrian continued his practice. He woke before sunrise. He sat in silence. He observed his thoughts. He trained his body. He reflected on his actions. And every morning he repeated the same words. Control your mind before it controls you. To Adrian, those words were not just a quote. They were a way of life. One day, a young warrior named Leo came to visit him. Leo was talented, strong, and full of ambition. But he had one weakness. His emotions controlled him. When he won, he became arrogant. When he lost, he became angry. When someone criticized him, he wanted revenge. I want to become unstoppable, Leo told Adrian. Adrian looked at him and asked, Can you control your thoughts when you are alone? Leo hesitated. Can you control your emotions when someone insults you? Again, Leo became quiet. Can you choose discipline when comfort feels easier? Leo lowered his head. Adrian smiled. Then your training begins today. The first lesson was patience. Adrian took Leo to a garden and gave him a seed. Plant this, he said. Leo planted the seed. Then he waited. After 1 day, nothing happened. After 1 week, nothing happened. Leo became frustrated. Maybe this seed is useless. Adrian smiled. That is how many people treat their own growth. They quit because they cannot see progress immediately. Great things are built beneath the surface before they appear above it. Weeks later, a small plant appeared. Leo finally understood. Growth requires patience. The second lesson was controlling reactions. Adrian took Leo to the marketplace. As they walked through the crowd, a stranger suddenly insulted Leo. Leo immediately turned around. His face became angry. His hands tightened. Adrian placed a hand on his shoulder. Stop. Leo looked confused. He disrespected me. Adrian asked. Did his words control your actions? Leo became silent. Adrian continued. Anyone can make you angry if you give them control of your mind. The moment you lose control, you give away your power. Leo walked away calmly. That day, he won a battle nobody else could see. The battle inside. The third lesson was facing fear. Adrian took Leo to the top of a mountain. The wind was strong. The path was difficult. Leo looked down. I am afraid. Adrian nodded. Good. Leo looked surprised. Good? Yes. Fear is not the enemy. The enemy is allowing fear to decide your future. Bravery is not the absence of fear. Bravery is moving forward while fear is present. Leo continued climbing. Step by step. Slowly. But he reached the top. At the peak, Adrian said, Remember this moment. Every mountain in life is climbed the same way. One disciplined step at a time. Years passed. Leo changed completely. He became calmer. More thoughtful. More disciplined. People began noticing that he was different. Not because he had become stronger than everyone else. Because he had become stronger than his old self. One evening, Leo asked Adrian, When will I finally have complete control over my mind? Adrian smiled. You are asking the wrong question. What should I ask? Ask yourself, how can I continue training my mind every day? Self-mastery is not a destination. It is a lifelong practice. As Adrian grew older, he began spending more time beside the river where his own journey had started. He watched the water flow. He watched the seasons change. He realized life was exactly like the river. You cannot stop every wave. You cannot control every storm. But you can learn how to navigate. One evening, as the sun disappeared behind the mountains, Adrian reflected on his entire life. He remembered his failures, his losses, his moments of weakness. At one time, he believed those experiences were destroying him. Now he understood. They were training him. Every challenge had strengthened his mind. Every disappointment had developed his patience. Every struggle had built his character. Adrian finally understood the greatest secret. A person does not become powerful by controlling everything outside themselves. A person becomes powerful by mastering what happens inside. Your thoughts are seeds. Plant wisely. Your emotions are energy. Direct them carefully. Your attention is your greatest treasure. Protect it. Because what controls your mind controls your life. If anger controls your mind, anger controls your future. If fear controls your mind, fear controls your decisions. If distractions control your mind, distractions control your destiny. But if discipline controls your mind, you become free. The world can criticize you. The world can challenge you. The world can change around you. But a trained mind remains steady. That is the strength Adrian discovered. That is the lesson he passed on. And that is the lesson every person must learn. Do not allow your thoughts to become your prison. Do not allow emotions to become your master. Do not allow the outside world to control your inner peace. Take responsibility. Train daily. Choose wisely. Because the greatest victory you will ever achieve is not conquering the world. It is conquering yourself. Control your mind before it controls you.